Are you ready to take your business to the next level? Every day there are countless books and articles that are published offering the key on how to make your business a success. It's easy to feel overwhelmed trying to keep up and run your business. That's why Deb Creer created the Business Power Hour. Keep up on the latest trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. Let the Business Power Hour do the heavy work for you.
Good morning. Good morning. I am Deb Creer, and I am passionate about giving professionals the tools that they need to make themselves and their businesses as successful as possible. And we're going to have a great conversation today because we're going to be going back to the basics. We're going to be talking about branding and websites. You know, I can't tell you how many times people tell me, well, I don't need that because I'm on Facebook or one of the other social media platforms, right? And I tell them, yeah, right, no. So we're going to have a great conversation today. So please join me in welcoming Bohdan Paladiichuk today from Kyiv. Oh my gosh, welcome, Bohdan. How are you?
Hello. I'm doing good, as good as it's possible. Staying motivated, staying hungry, I guess,
Right.
for creative stuff,
Right.
for helping the country and doing as much noise as possible
Right.
for the clients, for the country, for the economy, for the armed forces, and
Right.
keeping up the bravery vibes. I would say that's what we do here.
I know, it's, and we'll probably talk about it in more detail about how you're even still continuing to function as a business. Thank God for remote work and, being able to have clients around the world. But, it's a challenge that fortunately or unfortunately, most of us have absolutely no idea about. But yeah, so we'll talk about it more in detail. But let me tell people a little bit about you, and then we will just really jump into this. So as a
Okay.
tech startup, or even any startup, right? The tips that we're going to be talking about go for anybody, but you function on working with tech startups. But anyhow, as a tech startup, you need more than effective and usual product. You need to build a brand identity. This is where Bohdan Paladiichuk comes in from Kyiv, Ukraine. He's been an active creative director, brand strategist, and entrepreneur for over a decade. Bohdan's creative vision combines tried and true practices in UI UX design with a mastery in sound production, videography, copywriting, marketing, and human psychology. I love that part. Bohdan has a documented history of transforming SaaS products into juicy brands that stand out from an ever-growing crowd. As a talented creative, Bohdan is passionate about monitoring and staying updated on modern trends in branding. His technique focuses on striking the perfect balance between how good the product looks and how efficiently it works. So again, Bohdan, welcome.
Hello, welcome. I'm always very blushed to hear this, kind of epic story about myself because,
You
you're
know,
not always looking back at your
right,
professional
right.
career and
Yeah,
thinking in those terms because you're always doing that stuff, always grinding,
right.
I don't
That's just
know,
how we
making.
are, right? And when we hear, and there, it's funny. One of my other friends is an expert on bragging about yourself. I mean, that's what she teaches for a living. And she said, this really is absolutely so incredibly important to brag about ourselves, because if we don't, who will, right?
For sure, unless you have a good PR manager and a great
I
brand
know, I
communication
know.
team that
Yep,
do
that
it for
does it
you.
for you. So, Bogdan, tell us a little bit about how it is that you got to where you are today. How did you discover that this is your passion in life?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was studying in university and I was doing a bunch of different activities, creative wise. I was part of the comedy skits. I was doing a little bit
Mm-hmm,
of stand up. I was doing script producing. I was
mm-hmm,
doing script writing. I was always part of this video production group
mm-hmm,
that we had for the comedy
mm-hmm,
performances as well. And this is where I discovered that having the creative message delivered to the people
mm-hmm.
is something that I'm very passionate about
Right.
because I just love granting people emotions. I believe
Mm-hmm,
emotions have a huge impact on my
mm-hmm,
personal life,
mm-hmm,
right? On any human life, actually,
mm-hmm,
because this is, when you feel things, it's way different than you're just reading some
mm-hmm.
information. And I believe that
Right.
emotions actually have very big impact on how people go through life, what they're
Mm-hmm,
thinking, what they're doing. And therefore I understood that being part of the emotion generation crew is definitely something that I'm passionate about.
Right.
So this has been following me throughout the whole life, because again, the sound production that I do also like as a hobby for myself is about giving that emotion. And both the visuals and the sound, they have something in common. Like they are not usually tangible items. You cannot really touch them or play around with them. It's the matter of waves. It's visual waves or sound waves that you perceive and you get this emotion. And this emotion influences you a lot. So I was like, yeah, I want to definitely be part of a team that is going to be out of nothing, creating the set of emotions, good vibes for humans. And then when I was doing lots of these different activities, I kind of leaned more towards the idea part of things. I would say I really loved coming up with new ideas. And then there has to be a medium where you actually make them come alive.
Right.
So it's either the visual again medium or the audible medium, or you can combine both of them. So this is where I started exploring, like, besides doing the sound thing, I was also like doing design myself. I taught myself design because I was always like inspired by the aesthetics. And whenever I would see something with my eyes, I would go just like, wow, that's beautiful. This is like, again, this whole emotions that I feel inside, I wanted to be the one creating them. So this is how I started pursuing the design vector. And after I got into design, I was like so passionate about like the whole thing. I always loved the bigger picture. Whenever I was part of something, I always loved to see the biggest bird's eye view on how things work, why they work, like this probably logical part of myself, the interrelations of how the systems work, interrelation of how people perceive things, got me always driven to extend what I'm capable of. So whenever I was switching jobs, like a next job, I was expanding what I was capable of. And at one point, I understood that I can really drive a bigger vehicle in order to deliver great emotions for the people. And this vehicle is going to be a business and a team. So I thought like, hey, I'm a good designer, but what if I was kind of behind work of 50 designers, I don't know, 70 designers? How much impact can we make in that setup? So this drove me to starting a business. And initially in the business, we were just doing what I was good at, and I could kind of hire people that I knew what they're going to do and what's the expected outcome. And as we scaled and got to where we are right now, we're doing a bunch of different things right now. We do branding, we do website design, we do motion design. And the biggest part of it, I would say, is also like ad campaigns. So whenever a business needs to communicate something, we're going to come up with this creative way how to do it. And then again, flash it out on the website, brand, motion video or whatever. And that's hella fun, at least for me personally. So I guess my favorite part of the job that is definitely making me happy where I am right now is, again, working with an amazing team, with amazing professionals that have something to say to this world and really promoting the valuable business messages. So I would never go for promoting a beer, so to say. I love it personally, but as a brand,
there's
as
some
a
pretty
company,
cool beer campaigns.
they're amazing for sure, and I love them as art. But as the thing promoted to humans, so hey, like, let's consume more beer, I'm not necessarily sure that it leads us in the right direction. Even though, again, I have nothing against the beer itself, I love it personally. But as a brand, I definitely understood that we have this power of amplifying the messages with what we do creatively and getting more and more people hear the message and actually resonate with it. That's why we decided that really a big focus of what we're going to be doing as a company is going to be amplifying the messages that matter. And what matters to me, I think one of the biggest things is definitely like the progress of humanity itself. And the biggest progress is currently happening in tech. Like all these tech inventions like
oh
AI,
my gosh,
and even
AI.
It
right?
is scary. Like it got so advanced and it's getting so advanced that people are already like scared of that kind of progress. But I believe this is like an inevitable move for the humanity that has been, and not even humanity actually, but for the earth itself that has been out there for a long time. And it has been coming from zero, from simplicity to super advanced, right? Like this is how things evolve. So I believe, yes, the next big stage of the evolution is going to be the human-computer synergy, so to say. And yeah, we are here to play our part in it, in making this transition like as beautiful, as user-friendly, as human-friendly, creating human-friendly systems, visuals,
oh yeah, your
that.
website is gorgeous, which is Qream, but that's with a Q. The Qream, Qreem. No, yes, Qream, .com. So everybody check it out. It is a cool website.
Yeah, if you like a little bit of inspiration, or actually even a lot, I'm not even sure you're ready for
well,
how
it
much
should
it is.
highlight everything you guys do, right?
Yeah, but like we also had this function not just to highlight the stuff that we do, but also again deliver that in motion. So on the very first screen, we would have this 3D figure that is rotatable, and you can spin it around and even press some secret buttons that are gonna give you like even some extra effects. Yeah, there's like this
I gotta look
circle
for those.
spinning. Yeah, it's bottom right corner. There's this.
Okay.
I guess there's no surprise for the people watching, but I believe the people are gonna find it.
Yes.
And yeah, it gives you all these visual effects because again, we want to deliver the emotion like, hey, be yourself, be different, and this way you're gonna actually be relevant and be interesting. Because again, being like everybody else is just a road to nowhere, I believe. Maybe it works for somebody, but definitely people like personality. People like something special about the brands, about the companies. They like the reason, like why the company is doing that or this. And this was also said by Steve Jobs. He was saying that people do care a lot why Apple exists, what is our mission and vision, not just we are the best manufacturers of the product itself. So I think it is also very important. And again, I might be competent, but take Steve Jobs' competency as more.
He was special.
He was, yeah.
Well, oh my gosh, I was just furiously taking notes here as you were talking, because there were so many things that I was thinking about, that we need to discuss. Let's talk about stuff from your business perspective here for a second, because like you said, you're now the boss.
Yes.
And you've got a fairly large workforce working for you. I'm assuming many of them remotely, maybe even around the world. One of the things that when I talk to entrepreneurs, that they find the hardest is being the boss, because all of a sudden they're not, or maybe not all of a sudden, but they're no longer doing what their passion was, which was, developing the websites or new products or whatever it was. So how do you keep up the enthusiasm when you're having to worry about hiring, firing, finding clients, bookkeeping? I mean, all of those things. How do you keep up your passion, which is very obvious? How do you keep that up?
Okay, so I think very interesting concept of it is the hardest part is definitely scaling itself. Because when you hire first people, fire first people, you kind of start do things in operations, start to lay out the operations fundamentals of these things. There's like nobody here to help you, I guess, or at
you're
least
doing it all
here. Yeah, you're doing it all, and you don't even know how to do it properly. So I personally always had this gut feeling that I always know what I'm doing, and it actually got me to the point where I am right now. And then as I was doing these things, right, and again, I was like very driven and passionate, and I still am. It's just the passions, they change, I believe. So when you're going through this process, you kind of figure out that these things I like, these things I don't like, these things I'm good at, these things I'm bad at, or maybe there's somebody better. But I'm not afraid to admit that obviously you can be bad at something, because you can never be ultimately good at 360 field. And that's why I think
just ask Elon Musk, right?
Well, he still has partners covering different parts of things. So he's and this is an important point. Like I have business partners. In my agency, I have two co-owners. One of them is my co-founder, which we initially started with, and one of them is co-owner. So it's three of us. And it's absolutely amazing, because the co-owner that is responsible for the finance part, he's very good at the finance part. He's doing that primarily. There's a person that is in love with negotiations, with the sales, with partnership, with meeting new people. He's responsible for that. I always knew I'm like the creative guy. I really can generate a bazillion ideas, like straight up. It's very easy for me because my brain is just wired like that. And I also kind of have, again, interest in psychology. Therefore, I kind of can understand people because I'm exploring myself, exploring the people around me as well. And that's why I understood like these things I love. So I definitely have a clear vision about where we're going, why we're going, what this world needs. I know how to find the best people and to spot the people who are very passionate about what they're doing and who are good at what they're doing. And I'm very good at generating ideas of how it can be done.
Right.
And then I can be confidently covered on the operational side of things, and I can be covered on any other aspects of the business. So yeah, for me, it is really nice to have business partners, and it is very important if you really want to be successful with everything.
Right.
You cannot do it all by yourself. And a lot of VCs are also talking about it, that when they found some startups, they would be looking, is there one founder or multiple? Because one person cannot be good at everything. So yeah, that is, I guess that would be the answer to the questions of having the business partners and figuring out what you like and what you don't like, and having the courage, because it indeed takes courage to delegate the things that to other people and fully trust them in doing the part of the job that they can be better than you. And this way, in this synergy, you can actually move as a team and do great things.
Right. Yeah. It's funny. I work on a big volunteer team project. And I'm overall in charge, and bless my little people, they keep reminding me that I need to delegate. And, and I have great people. I wouldn't be working with them if they weren't great people, but it's really hard for me to say, I need you to do this, because I could just do it myself. Right. And sometimes I could even do it faster. But what I have discovered is, by honoring them, by giving them that opportunity, it allows them to grow and maybe take on bigger roles and do all sorts of things. So I think when we try and whether it's a business, volunteer, family, whatever, when we try and keep it all to ourselves, we're hurting the people around us.
Yes, it has to do a lot with the ego, the ego part of the psychology.
Oh, yeah.
Like me, mine, I'm important.
But it's my project.
Yeah,
Right.
spotlight on me. I was the one behind it, sort of thing. Yeah, letting go of that is definitely something that every conscious person should do in order to strive in a synergy. And I believe, and this is one of the problems that I also see being reflected in some of the works that we do with clients. I wouldn't address it as the problem, but I see this kind of point of view. So for example, the client will
who's
come to
in
you,
charge and who's really in charge.
sort of, but when the clients would come asking for the website design kind of thing, and we've been doing it for like lots of time, right? Like for years and years. So we're kind of good at it. We have already like a big expertise at it. But a lot of times client would also like to integrate their own kind of desires.
Right.
I see it like that. I want it like that. I think this is a better idea. Even though you know it's kind of not. We always try to communicate like it can be like that. And I believe, again, this is not good, not bad. It's just the fact that exists there.
And sometimes they do have great ideas, right?
They do, for sure. But like, it's their ego speaking that like, it's kind of my project. And unless I have my vision incorporated into that, I'm not going to be fully aligned with it. I'm not going to be feeling it. So sometimes like, and again, it's not good. It's not bad. It's just like fact that exists. But the most conscious clients, I believe, they are acknowledging that in themselves that like, okay, this is me and I'm good at these things. These are designers. They're good at what they're doing.
Right. We're hiring you to do this.
Yeah. And this like trust between these two parties is very essential. And again, I know what it is to give out the, the possibilities to somebody else, or to trust somebody in doing something that you feel that you're better at, or like you kind of feel some internal competency. But if that trust happens, again, you can both carry more kind of weight rather than, having to carry like the same backpack to people. I don't know, not necessarily the most productive way to go. But yeah, I say like letting go of your personal ego is very important to achieving great results, because the more opinions you have, the more versatile the set of options that you can take and really get the best solution possible. When you are really like, it's just me and mine and it's not happening otherwise, you're limiting like the whole possible set of options that are possible for your project just by your own like narrowed bias. And again, you should be confident in what you're doing, and like it has to do a lot with confidence. You sometimes cannot feel confident because somebody else is doing that and you're like doubting that. But I believe, again, having this trust to the partner is extremely important part.
Well, and sometimes it can just be a little tweak. And it makes a huge difference, right? Hey, what if we move the menu over here? What if we change this color? What if we do this graphic? You know, and it's interesting because, you know, I've done website design for many years, and I've had the clients that don't want to let go. I remember years ago, I worked for an agency and we had this client, and this was long enough ago that we did not have email. So this is really a long time ago. And, you know, we had email, but it was really pretty basic, certainly not like what we have now. And we came in one day, and the client had been writing notes and then had faxed it to us. And we had 72 pages of faxes from this guy. 72.
That's a lot.
And about that point, we decided this is not going to work. I mean, you know, and bless him, he was incredibly passionate about what he was doing, obviously. But he was also spending hours and hours and hours just looking at other websites and going, I want my site to do this. I want my site to do this. And the problem was he was never stopping to think how it would all go together. You know, and that's where, as I said, you know, we rely on experts like you to say, that's a great idea. However, you know, and to be able to be tactful and without, you know, now sometimes you just have to be blunt and say, nope, that's not going to work. But as long as you're able to explain it, then they should accept it. Because again, we hired you as the expert to do it. You know, we hired you for that knowledge and that expertise. But it's a challenge. And it really is a challenge to start delegating, because, you know, I think one of the things you mentioned the word ego, I think some of it is, you know, but I'm the only one that can do it right. And, you know, when I finally came to the realization that maybe somebody's going to do it different and it's not wrong, that's where it's great. You know, and so I just love that to be able to do that. But how many sites do you still actually, how many projects do you really get in there and still work on? Or, you know, are you just kind of the overseer?
Thankfully, this year, and actually like last 2 months ago, I resigned from the creative director position at our company.
Okay. Okay.
And that was like a very big move for me, actually, because I was always in all the projects and I always needed to supervise, even maybe not being directly super involved,
Right.
but I needed to make sure everything
You
is
had to
right.
have your little finger in there, right?
Yeah, because you know, kind of it's I'm a CEO and I'm responsible for the company. I need to make sure that the product that we're doing is really great, and it always has been. But again, I was always looking at that. But now we have this person in the company that has been hired 2 years ago, and he was growing ever since, like very powerfully. And then there was this project where I like didn't have much time. It was kind of like an easier sort of project, as I would say, like it's predictable for ourselves, so we knew clearly what to do.
Right.
And I wasn't involved there that much. But then when I was looking at what he's doing, how he's engaging with the team, the level of the ideas, I was like, I could trust you in that. And I believe that you can do everything better than me, different than me. And this has been absolutely a great move, because I love just developing people from our company. I guess I love people with passion, because they're always doing the best things in this world possible. And now this person, his name is Andriy, he's a creative director at our company, and he's currently in all the projects, looking at the things, generating just wonderful ideas.
I love it.
And I know him actually like for quite a bit of time, because we started in the comedy together in the university. So we were actually like in the team for quite a bit of time, generating these ideas when we were youngsters. And then our professional paths also crossed, and I can trust him fully in what he's doing, and he's absolutely great at it, which also gets me to a bigger room of growing my business as well.
Like you said, you can scale even bigger.
Yeah, scale bigger, do like find cooler ways to do stuff, maybe, you know, kind of engage with more businesses, and yeah, just get the production to the next level. And now I have time for this, because you know, I don't have to now kind of micromanage the creative production. And I'm, as a founder, extremely happy to have things like that, because I know that the success of the business is not anymore primarily dependent on me only. Because this is a very scary stage of the business. It was like first 5 years, they were kind of like that, where I understood that if I sneeze, I cough, I get sick or something like that.
Work
like
stops.
There's a possibility that something might go wrong. Yeah, because but thankfully, again, I know that Qream is fully sustainable right now. We have all this knowledge legacy. We have all the processes absolutely in place. We know how to tackle every single task as a system, but at the same time, it also has this randomness component where you actually always gonna come up with ideas and brainstorm in the best way. And that's what I really love about the job. I really hate the operation stuff. Personally, I just don't like the burden.
Right. But like you said, you hire somebody who likes it and is good at it.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, thankfully, I have a creative director that is running these things, and I can be scaling the business. And this is what I'm onto.
Very cool. Very cool. You mentioned the comedy aspect several times, and I love this because in essence, you're using both sides of your brain, right? But I'm a marketing person. I've been doing marketing since very long time ago, and we were always taught that we're solving someone's pain. And but to me, we need to flip it. And I think this is a lot of what you do. It's not that we're solving their pain, it's that we're bringing them pleasure. And I love that idea because it's how can we make them happy now? You probably are solving a pain for them, but there's solving a pain like ripping a Band-Aid off. Or there's, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. We love it. We're going to get more clients. We're going to sell more. I mean, those are obviously very important things. But from the perspective too of, somebody buying the product or service, they're going, oh my gosh, this is fantastic. So do you think that because you're more on that very creative and maybe even the comedic side, that you do think more about, how can we bring pleasure to people?
Yeah, I believe that the pleasure component is actually what is called the brand in the biggest sense, because brand is a set of emotions and associations that people have with your product or service. So it has to do, like, your product is your product, and everything you relate to emotionally within like this product, or how you relate to the product or company, is in the brand part of it. So it's way bigger than people think. Usually people think of brand as of visual identity, colors, logos, and that's it. Actually, brand, again, is the whole psychological lens on your business in people's eyes. So yeah, this is the domain where we work at. The product solves the pain directly. But then again, everything that you feel towards solving that pain, towards the company that is solving that pain, how they're doing it, how they're speaking, is in the brand aspect. And yeah, this is where we lay, this is where the emotions are laying, and this is where we play to get them triggered and make them serve the selling of the product if it's worthy.
Right. And I love that you do all of this, because one of the things that I hear the most, and we've seen this for, I don't know, maybe 5 years at least, is it's in some ways pretty simple to do your own website, right? You can sign up for, various, services, and they come pre-designed and all of those things. And now, obviously, for businesses starting out, that might be the only thing that they can do. I mean, that's they just need to get something out there and get it there, because, like we said at the very start, you can't rely on Facebook, you can't rely on any of that, because they could go away. They're their own toys. Keep your own toys in your own house. But it's when you're using some service like that, it is just very basic. And the really big thing is, as you said, they're not putting any branding. They're not, putting any of the special sauce into it that working with a professional does. So really walk us through, what is the process on working with you?
Okay, so the process. I'll take it even a step back and tell you what's the biggest problem of doing the website and the website builder. Because actually, as with the design, it's all about the thinking. It's all about the strategy. It's all about this idea part of things. And then you can use any tool to make it come alive in the end of the day. So actually, a website builder can be a great tool serving you to do the job almost like at 10 out of 10 kind of result. If you know what to do with it. And then the website itself, actually, I believe, is a specific language. And businesses, usually the founders, they don't speak the website language.
Right. We're going to cut and paste our brochure text.
Exactly. And this is not how it works, because it has to do a lot with the perception of how users look at it. And there is again, a huge bunch of mistakes that can be done wrong. And again, when you just take the raw business messaging and saying we innovate the innovation and then you put it on the website, now I don't understand what you're doing.
Yeah.
I
get innovation.
It's exactly that's and this is a very frequent. So it's either the blurry messaging or the very direct messaging. It is again a science of translating the business value into the language of the website, and it comes a lot with the messaging part of it, and then the design, the visual part of it, and then the coding part of it. And then again, you have to always acknowledge how the people are going to be looking at it, because if you, for example, we had this case where we were doing the social project, and it was intended for the people who were at the bomb shelters, for example, right? And that context adds a lot, because you know that the people are going to be underground with bad internet connection,
on
browsing from their phone. Yeah. And apparently their phones are not going to be the latest iPhones either. Usually that's the case.
Yeah. I mean,
so when you acknowledge that, you start thinking from that perspective. So we need to do something that's going to load fast, basic, load fast. Then it's going to be looking good on the mobile, and that's going to be the primary platform. It has to look good on any screen size, right? Sometimes you don't have to take these things into account when you're doing something like high end, for example. I don't know, like a yacht website. You know that people who are going to be buying yachts probably are going to be using more advanced kind of tools to get it. But this context is important, and everything in design is extremely important, because again, you're trying to tailor the message to the audience as well. So the process of how it looks with us, first of all, we learn what the business is, what the product is, what are the strong sides of it, what's the positioning, so how do they communicate their product is good, and the marketing language, is there a marketing strategy over there? So we learn all this kind of business objective side of things. And then what do they want to have accomplished in the next year? So what would be the great success result? So we now know what business wants. And there's the side of it, what kind of market wants, what users want, what do they expect? And this is already set by the competitors, by what's already out there on the market. So we would analyze that part. Okay, where does our product stand competition-wise? What are competitors saying? What are they stressing on? What are their unique advantages? What language are they using to communicate about their product? Then we can gather up and understand how we can be different, but be ourselves. So how can we shine the best and outshine the competitors to not be the same as they are? And that again comes into and then you take this kind of information that you do on the strategy part of things, and then it can be a brand identity, a communication strategy, a website, a promo video, or even the complex set tools of this, how you want to get this message delivered to the audience. So really that's again where we best at bridging the strategy part and then the execution part of it. So we would say the process of the website. So we know what we want to sell, to whom we want to sell, what other people are saying, what are they talking about your product. Then we come up with a narrative that is unique, specific, relevant to a specific tone of voice for the product that we're working with, right? So once we have the narrative and the structure of the narrative, then we come to the visual part of things. And then we figure out what kind of style is going to be working, what styles do competitors have, what style is currently something that is relevant to the audience. We pick the visual style if it doesn't exist on the brand identity kind of side of things. And next part is where we bridge the messages and the visuals together, and when we have this design done. But after that, obviously, we will do the development and make sure that it works properly, works on all the devices, gets loaded fast, and that kind of thing. So this is how the process is going from our side. And this is extremely important for my personal, at least design belief, that message always comes first, because the design is the way to visualize the message. So you're saying we want to communicate about that we sell natural organic apples for cheaper price than competitors, right? So then you need to come up with a great copyright, how to put that into message so people get it. And actually, it's not about the copyright, it's about the whole idea, right? Because it can be way broader than just writing something on a banner. It can be scan a QR code, and then you have this fresh apple popping in front of your eyes, and then you can flip it and you're like, wow, I got the point. So there's so many ways of how you can communicate about the point, but the message always comes first, figuring out the right message. again, and it's important to distinguish between, again, the business value message, like, we sell cheap apples, and how to make it on the consumer language. And this translation is extremely important. And this is where the biggest gap is happening, again, when the founders will be just visualizing the pure business lingo on the visual language of things, skipping this kind of intermediary part, which lies in the creative and the strategy. So again, we have this message, and then we find the best way how to make this message heard, right? Maybe it is buying a million fresh apples and throwing them in the city, and then, kind of having a QR code on this apple. This is also a way to communicate with people. It doesn't necessarily have to be a banner, video, or something that, or again, classically, we're saying like we want to, get this message delivered to the whole country by using set of billboards, I don't know, ads on cars.
Yeah, what are the complementary type of product?
Yeah, you take the specifics. You take the specifics of the medium, and then you can create the best decision possible, again, on the design side of things. So for me, the clients that will come and say like, just draw something and we're gonna come up with the messaging later on. No, to me, is a bad way of doing things, because again, in order to know how to visualize, you need to understand what to visualize, and this always should come first.
Right. Well, and you're speaking my language, because one of the things that I tell people is, you have to figure out from the very start who you are selling to, right? And how many times, you probably have this happen multiple times too, who is your target audience? And they look at you and they say, everybody. No, there is no, I personally do not think there is a product or service that every single person would be interested in. Now, there might be, some big ones. And that's what I like about, who you're going to, you could design websites for anybody. You're going to work with a very specific set of people. Like you said, those that want to make a difference, things like that. And, once we get them down from thinking, okay, we're not going to target everybody. And the thought process is obviously, I can make more money if I sell to everybody. Well, but if 99 out of 100 aren't going to buy, or at least click through, right, then you've wasted time. And so figuring out that who your audience is, and then, as you said, how do you reach them? Are these people who are really tech savvy? Are these people, one of my favorite things that I see are like you're somewhere near, say, a jail, right? There's jails everywhere. And the signs, the billboards outside are the bail bondsmen. So you can figure out, hey, from a phone, they can probably see that sign, right? Putting their stuff on a website, no, that's not going to work. So figure out how it is that you're going to reach them, and then go from there. And then, the big thing that I think so many people, and I'm guilty of this on occasion myself, is that final call to action. It looks great. It sounds great. But how do I take that next step? And whether that next step is getting more information, spending money, whatever it is, we get so caught up in, ooh, this looks pretty, that we forget that we have another step that we have to do.
Yes, I absolutely agree with all your points. And there's been mentioned, like you mentioned, the multiple problems that the businesses face. It's how to build the funnel, and kind of where to put what is the last call to action. And the most important part is definitely knowing who you're selling to. Right. And a great example, like it's definitely like a good way to say, like, we're selling to everybody. But in the other way, when you're like trying to be relevant for everybody, you're being relevant to nobody. Right. And this is a very common thing. You can break through this barrier. You can listen and think like, maybe not. But then again, if I told you like, hey, buy an apple, there's a banner that says like, hey, buy an apple. This is one type of banner. And then there's a banner saying like, hey, Deb, we know you like apples. Right. We should get this one. You get like reaction to it, because it speaks to yourself. They kind of like, there's some relevancy of the banner. You feel kind of more familiar with that. And like, you kind of think that these people know your actual real problems, know why do you want that apple. And, they got something for you. And I think this personalization is extremely important. So the better you know who your customer is, the better you can sell. There's also a very good example of one of the ice cream brands in Ukraine as well. So they learn about like who their customers are and how they're making purchases. And they found out that there's a big portion of dads that are walking around the park with their son, and while they're walking around, they would like to treat him with ice cream. So they really found this specific nuance that was actually repeating multiple times. So they would place their kind of selling points in the parks, and using all that communication to support that, like, hey, get your kid an ice cream, right? And the store is located in the convenient location, and then this is how they got very good sales. And also they got like situational leadership in that point. So whenever you would be walking around the park, you always would see this ice cream, and then this walk in the park with your son is going to be associated with that. So this way, even people who didn't purchase it like that, they also notice that brand. And then you program into their brain, like kid ice cream, or like park work ice cream. Or yeah, for example, like Coca-Cola is very good at branding themselves towards this micro brand of New Year, for example, or Christmas. So there's lots of this. If I tell you, like, what's the Christmas pop? You would probably tell me Coke or Cola, not Pepsi necessarily.
Well, now I live where Coke is based. So yeah, we don't even talk about those others, but
Exactly. So, but they're very good. So like they kind of, associated the holiday vibe with themselves, and this way they boost the sales throughout the whole year by actually just nailing down that nuance, because they know that a lot of users are kind of because their emotion that they're trying to evoke with their brand is like joy, happiness, magic, and what's more magical, joyful, and happy than I guess Christmas time, right? So this is how they integrate, kind of their brand into the bigger brand, because Christmas is a brand, set of associations and emotions and associations with joy, happiness, magic, and they kind of integrated their brand into it. And this way they created this, again, powerful synergy that helps them do more business throughout the holidays, throughout New Year, and in general, because again, this is how people would learn about that. So this is also a very good way of brands to be connected to cultural trends, to understand the environment, understand who the customers are, and then trying to fit in, into the game and into the most organic way possible. So yeah, I think that is extremely smart of the brands to do. And again, you can only do that when you know who your audience is, know why they're buying, know who you're serving to. If you're just selling it to random person, there's no random person. Everyone is different. Everyone has their own expectations. And again, the more you know them, the more you tailor.
Right. And I love that, like we said, you really add that design element, because we all have gone to websites where the first paragraph, you've died of boredom, and more importantly, you've gone to another website. And I think, especially if say we allow the sales team to have their input, right? They're going to put every question that you could possibly answer on the homepage. No, I want, you obviously have to have stuff on the homepage, but maybe you don't answer those detailed questions until further in. You kind of start bringing them into it. And it's hard, because we're like, but we have to tell them everything. We really, really have to tell them everything. You don't, it's that. And, I think one of the big things, and I talk about this in like a mastermind group I'm in, is developing that relationship. And it's weird to think that you're developing a relationship with a website, but it's like you said, if it says, hey, Deb, I'm like, oh, and so then it piques my interest and I look a little bit further into it. And then it allows me to see, maybe I only like red apples or green apples. So I'm not going to see the other types. Now, I have to have given you that information, or maybe it's based on previous purchases or things like that. But, it's, I don't know, with AI, who knows, maybe it's going to read our minds. Right. But yeah, it's all about, again, how do we capture their interest in many cases without boring them to tears?
Yeah, this is where the creative and design team, I think, are stepping into the game. So again, from one side, you would have sales, business founders, and the task that they have to do. So we want to sell this product, and again, they have this expectation. So what results they want to get. But then again, the creative and design is this translation medium of how to translate the business challenge into the language that would be resonating with you there, right? Or with me. And this way you create the best message, and then you put it out on the production. And I think really, like, this is the biggest kind of guilty thing of a lot of businesses, is skipping this intermediate intermediary translation part and just flashing out things how they are on the sales language, on the business language, or what the founders themselves think, because founders, again, right, they're talents. They're always talents. They're always like the bright stars. And again, they would always frequently assume that they're best at everything that they do because they have this kind of
we started this. It's my baby.
Exactly, and this confidence and stuff. But yeah, really like having this trust to give that to some intermediary who can do it in the best way possible. Because again, this is our job. Like, we're the translators. We've been doing it for everybody the whole career. Like, we've been learning how to extract what's needed from the business side and how to connect to people, how to interview them and get to know what they're thinking, what they would think of this potential campaign, or like what's in their heads, or why are they making this or that decision or purchase. And this is also, again, like, is a very important part. And I see it skipped a lot of times as well. Like, we don't have time to talk to the customers. We know what they want.
We know what they want.
Yeah, and you probably do. But when you ask and go deeper, the deeper you go in learning about who your customer is, the more insights you can find that you would have never otherwise gotten. And it can get you doing like some very cool things in terms of getting this products to be selling out way more than that.
Well, yeah, I think the one of the issues is that we do make a lot of assumptions. I mean, first of all, people assume, this thing that I have created is wonderful and people are going to buy it. Well, maybe only my mother is going to be the person who buys it. And everybody else is like, I didn't really need that. And we see that all the time, right? I mean, all you have to do is go into a store and see that stuff is not selling. And you look at it like, who came up with that idea? But, it's... And then we think we know, again, how they're going to purchase, back to the apples. I might want to buy 12 at a time. You might have thought I wanted to buy a case. Well, I don't have a place to store a case. It's all going to go bad, all those various things. So like you said, you need to ask those things. Maybe I want a apple. Now I'm going to order an apple off of a website. Probably not, but you might be directing me to where to buy that apple. So maybe, here in the States, it would be, Wild Oats or Sprouts, or even, one of the big grocery stores. But yeah, it is about, again, the more information you have, the more likely we are to make those sales, or at least get them to that next step.
For sure. And there's also huge science of how to make that, again, offer attractive. And it also is about how it looks, what it sounds, where it is placed. Is there any, like, again, emotional part of how you get to the purchase part of it? Because just as a brand, with every single thing in business, you have this kind of the funnel itself of the customers, right? First, like, they get to learn about you, then they come to your store, for example, or whatever the medium the purchasing is. Then they purchase something, then they have this period of they used it, and they have this first emotion about they used it, and they also consider what other people are thinking about this product, and this influences their opinion a lot, because people like to belong also to some kind of categories of people. And then you have this after purchase thing, like, if you didn't like the apple, can you do something about it? Is there a way to kind of tell about it? Or does the company ask, did you like the apple or not? This whole thing forms the experience of yourself, and this whole thing can be designed, like all the steps that could be thoughtfully designed. And again, this is why I used the term design, because it's not about placing a beautiful image. It's about creating, this way of how to maximize the experience. And this is what I'm probably most passionate about in our job. And this is probably the part that is kind of hardest to communicate on the marketing level of things, because again, each of the projects, it would require this specific kind of thing. And we also had this very fun thing where we had to communicate about the banking app that was just launching in Ukraine for the entrepreneurs. And they wanted to really make all the entrepreneurs know that there is going to be this app launching. And again, the business initially came with just like a request for some banner sort of thing. Like, we just want to place a banner. And what we came up with actually is the idea of creating, first of all, the website where people, like the entrepreneurs, can actually, and this is about small businesses, I'm saying, they can place their free ad on this website. So like, hey, we're this kind of business and we do this and that, because it is really a problem to find very small businesses online. So we're going to create this bulletin where they can place their ad, and you as a regular users can come in and just explore what kind of businesses exist in every niche.
So it's like a marketplace type of.
Yeah, but it's like more like about information. So you cannot directly like purchase something from the website, but you can learn that in construction, there are 500 businesses in Ukraine. And then in selling apples, there is this and this. But for the small businesses, they usually don't have the budget to promote themselves on that kind of level. And we could give them this opportunity. And the brand slogan of the company was, of the whole company, the whole product that was helping the entrepreneurs with the taxes, it was like, we're helping the entrepreneurs. And we said like, okay, let's actually make this whole campaign
let's help
about
them.
help. Yeah. So we're not just placing a big image saying like, we help entrepreneurs, but let's actually help them promote. So we create this website where they can place their free ad. And we're going to show this website on the biggest screen of the country. So we're going to buy real estate, and we're going to be, fleshing out the banners of different businesses. This way, you as a regular business with not that a lot of budget, you can end up on the biggest screen of the country. And I call that like a campaign. And, this is the very often the result of what we actually do. And this is where the business actually comes, with a challenge. Like, we want to let all the people know that this and this and this and that. And this way you can work with this creative brief and then get it out. And when the trust exists between the business and the creative provider agency, so to say, these things are possible. But if you're coming, I need a design of the banner, kind of 500 pixels for 400 pixels, we can do it.
Right.
But maybe there's a way better way to do these things and achieve the result. So I am extremely happy when the founders are coming with a problem. They're saying like, we need this to happen in the world. And we as a designer, with all these creative brainstorming sessions and including clients, combining all the ideas together, we can come up with a very good way. And it is also very frequent when the clients are open like that. They would come explaining what they need and saying that they need a website. But we would say, hey, wouldn't you think that actually making a short like explainer video and showing that to a bunch of people is going to be way more informative in your case? Because, for example, you're doing a physical product and just showing how cool it is, how it works, what it consists of, is going to leave a way stronger impression than having this bulletin website with bazillion pages where you read the specs and try to figure out what it does. And this way, yeah, I really love the founders that are really like, trusting the vendor, trusting the other party. They're open to exploring all the ideas, and they're not hold on to like kind of my internal concept is about, kind of making something I want from this world.
Back to that ego.
You want the result. Yeah. You want the result, or do you want to express yourself?
Right.
And the most successful people that we work with, the greatest ideas were always born out of this kind of mindset of not being linked to or attached to things like that. And this is also repeating a lot in the designers themselves. When they are starting out, they're a lot about expressing themselves. So whenever you would give edits, they'll be just like defensive, protective. They'll be hating you, like, they're like, it was my creature, and now you're telling me it, So this is what I teach my designers, and thankfully we almost don't have any starter designers. We always work with us like senior plus level.
So they're used to feedback.
Yeah. And like in this mindset, that, the more ideas you have, the more kind of discussions with people with different goals are happening, the better the result.
Yeah. It's funny. It just reminded me long ago when I was in university and taking an English class. We got back whatever it was that we had written, and every single paper had lots of red ink. The professor had just, all over everything. And of course we all went, right. Oh! And he said, folks, they're not your babies. They're just words. And that really did kind of make me think about it. It's like, we do think of them, whether it's the design, the text, the whatever it is, as our baby. But it's, it is something that is easy to fix. And, and most importantly, again, we want to fix it so that we're able to sell our product or service. So saying, but I want it worded this way. You might be stuck on that, but if that's not the way that's gonna help, that's the big thing. Oh my gosh, we've only got about 5 minutes left, and I do want to ask just a little bit about, we mentioned you're in Kyiv, and how you are continuing to contribute to your economy, to all of the various things. But what is it like to be working in a war zone?
It is specific way of working, I would say, but it adds a lot of spices to your life, I believe. What it means is like when you wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm very happy I woke up. I believe, you're not going to feel
Literally.
this. Yeah, you're not going to feel this pleasure if you're somewhere else, I believe. As a business person, I would say we had to understand what the situation is and how to mitigate the risks and make sure that everything is working
Right.
flawlessly and smoothly always. So we thankfully did it like more than a year ago, because here is like the war is for 2 years already. So we kind of figured out how to remanage, how to take the risks into consideration, how to put them into action.
Right.
So we always have all the backup plans. We would always have like the backup vendors if something just goes wrong for some reason. We're super secured on the mobilization stuff. So we already really took a big set of measures that help us to work in the way we work. And again, half of our team is remote.
Right.
The other half is just located in different cities other than Kyiv. The people from Kyiv are also like ladies and men. So there's so many risk factors that are actually like taken there. So the only thing that is left is just to stay strong, like morally. And this is where the belonging to community and doing meaningful projects comes into place.
Right.
And we've been doing very good social projects since the beginning of the war. We had this startup idea that has helped already a million people to receive humanitarian aid, and there's a bunch of other stuff. We also are helping with the project by President's Office, which is childcare. It's about helping the kids to find foster families and being adopted. And there are way more ways of how you can like work with kids. So yeah, like working on that kind of projects is something that is our also of natural calling even before the war, but in war it also, kind of gets that special meaning, I believe, to ourselves and what we do. And for me, as for the founder, I also feel proud that we didn't have to lay off anybody since the beginning
Oh,
of the
wow.
war.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Moreover, we hired more people, so I understand that I can provide a good economic situation for the people that are working. I can help the talented folks to keep doing what they're doing, to keep spreading the creativity. And yeah, I guess, what kind of challenge can we not go through if we went through war
This
already?
is true.
So I believe tight deadlines, complex briefs, complex tasks are just like nothing, because really everything is
Right. There's priorities, right?
yeah, then there's comparison always. So I would say like this made us like way stronger, way braver, and we're way more into doing what we love, because we understand like, if world ends tomorrow, would I still be doing this thing that I'm doing? And
Right.
all of us will be doing things that they are doing, and they're even more kind of passionate about like acknowledging like what life is, I believe. And just the whole world situation would kind of look shaky a little bit right now. So hopefully world war is not coming
Yeah,
up.
I
And
know. You don't even want to turn the TV on and all of those things. But wow, it puts a lot into perspective, and I would just encourage folks to really think about that. But I want to wrap up here, and of course, one of the things that I was thinking about was, we mentioned, people want to do it themselves because it's less expensive, all of these things. But in truth, you might be saving money, but you're not making as much money as you could be when you work with a professional. So tell us because this is, like we said, everything works remotely now. So how do people find you, and what are the services that you provide?
okay, so you can find us at thecream.com. You mentioned properly. It's Qream. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm Bohdan Paladiichuk. It might be hard to type, but I'm probably
It'll be in the show notes. Yeah.
Yeah, in the show notes. And again, we do website design, we do brand strategy and brand identity, we do creative communications, and we also do product design for which is UI UX product design, as it's called, that because we work in the tech sphere. So yeah, this is the thing that we are working on. We got amazing staff on board that is absolutely happy to work on creative challenges. We are successfully working with Viber for 3 years already, I believe, and doing a bunch of different stuff. And we also have lots of different amazing clients, but we used to work with startups more. Therefore, they would be like kind of smaller names, I would say, but in the end of the day, a very good impact. now we're serving more and more like the middle-sized businesses and the enterprise businesses because they acknowledge themselves better. So like the startups, they have this DIY vibe, which is absolutely great. But again, not necessarily like the tool set that we have is way more suiting for somebody who has the problem, has the vision, knows who is going to target, why, how. So like I would say in terms of we're heavy artillery of creative stuff, I would say. And yeah, that's why working with middle-sized and bigger businesses is also something that we are very focused on right now. So yeah, and I also wanted to make a huge shout out. You also like brought up the work question. I would say like 0 of our clients ever raised any kind of concerns about like, you know, is my project is it going to be safe or something? Right. I've heard this kind of like this saying that this might be the risk somewhere, but no, I wanted to make a public shout out if any of my clients are watching that or maybe even potential clients. Thank you so much for supporting Ukraine. Thank you for having this trust, and we are doing everything more than we can to over deliver, and we are very hungry for that because this way you can supply the global creativity, do cool things in the world, and just so thank you for supporting Ukraine, trusting Ukrainian companies, working with Ukrainian businesses despite everything that might be on the table.
I love it. Well, oh my gosh, this has been inspirational, motivational, all of those various things. I would love to talk with you again, you know, maybe get an update later on down to see what's going on. But until then, do you have any final thoughts that you want to leave everyone with?
Final thoughts, I would say. Let me come up with something epic in the beginning. In the end of the conversation. Final thought, be yourself and don't be afraid to express it. At the same time, trust others. I would say this is the sum up of the whole conversation. In business, in personal life, in everywhere. Trust is everything. Your gut feeling is everything. Being yourself is everything. So combining these 3 things together, I believe, is going to provide a very successful path in life, and success is happiness, I believe. At least.
Oh my gosh. Wonderful. I love this. Well, I am Deb Qream. I've been having an absolutely wonderful discussion with Bohdan Paladiichuk. And I think I got through it, right? And so until next time, everyone have a great day.
Tune in for our next program for even more trends, best practices, and techniques for how to make your business a success. The Business Power Hour, hosted by Deb Qream, is proud to be part of the C-Suite Network.